You are Locked On Celtics POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, the Celtics did not have a very solid final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, but they knocked down 3 threes early on in the overtime session. Hold on, and beat the Clippers in Los Angeles. And with that, the Celtics have won 2 in a row for the first time in what seems like a long time. With that, we welcome you into our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college hoops play-by-play announcer. Believed to this day, Kevin McHale's cameo on the hit sitcom Cheers better than Wade Boggs. You're right where you need to be. You are locked on with the latest Locked On Celtics postcast, providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as the Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to talk about fans being up on the East Coast late into the night, Wednesday into Thursday morning. We're going to talk about the Celtics winning 2 in a row for the first time again in what seems like a long time since they put together back-to-back victories. Jaden Springer, he wasn't just good. He was terrific. He was outstanding for the Celtics. Brian Scalabrine said more than one occasion on NBC Sports Boston and the broadcast on the TV side with Drew Carter, Jaden Springer, a big reason the Celtics pull out the victory against the LA Clippers. We do want to hear from you, even though it's late or early, depending on where you're at. We want to hear from our everydayers and our first-timers. Join the conversation watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hit the comment button and join the conversation. This episode of the Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. Bang, $20 off your first purchase. Again, Celtics pull out the victory. We're going to hit the comments shortly. That fourth quarter, and even in overtime, you thought, okay, they're going to put this one to bed. Didn't happen. I give the Clippers a lot of credit. Jrue Holiday, Al Horford, both questionable. That on the early injury reports on Tuesday. Kristaps Porzingis added for the Celtics on Wednesday with an illness. Apparently he was on the bench. I didn't see him. But Abby Chin, when she was talking with former Celtic Paul Pierce, KP's over there eating popcorn. Illness, non-COVID related, but not in the lineup. So Holiday, KP, Al Horford, all out. Now on the other side, run the list for the LA Clippers. No Harden, no Kawhi Leonard, no Zubac, who has been big against the Celtics. Chris Dunn out, Norman Powell out, Batum out as well. But I give all the credit in the world to the guys who were on the floor for the Clippers. They were fun to watch. Derrick Jones Jr., career night, 17 points for Derrick Jones Jr. in the first quarter. But let's get to that fourth quarter. Jaden Springer off the bench in the third, had 3 steals in the third quarter. He was on the floor at the start of the fourth quarter. The Clippers got the lead up to 6, their largest lead of the game in that early on in the fourth quarter. And Brian Scalabrine saying, I knew it was going to be a tough game for us. It was. But the Celtics at certain points in the fourth quarter, and even in overtime, as they got to within 2 again, their own worst enemy. Cornette, defense, basket on the other end, 2-point deficit. 20 turnovers in that point early in the fourth quarter for the Clippers. Over 3 minutes off the clock in the fourth quarter. Derrick White hit a 3. Celtics with the lead, 90-89. White, his first 3 of the game. Tatum hit a 3. That gave Tatum 19 for the game. The Celtics up 93-89. Could they get more separation? 11-0 run. The Clippers at that point in the fourth quarter, 2 of 10, 1 of 7 from 3. That was their coldest stretch of the game. They were knocking down shots. They were getting to the rim. They were getting what they wanted. But Springer coming up big, ended up regular season career high, 4 steals in the game. White then hit another 3. Celtics up 96-89. At that point, White 10 for the quarter. Tatum, great defense. In transition, Clippers then with a basket after he was able to deny him initially. Under 5 to go. Celtics up 96-89. Springer 3. 99-93 in the fourth quarter. And then Tatum with a bucket with just over 2 to go to give him 21. The lead's still 6. A technical foul on Derrick White with 1:23 to go. Clippers hit 2 of the 3 free throws. There was a technical and a foul, so 3 free throws. That, at that point, a 4-point game. Again, Springer was on the floor late and deserved. Brown was called for an offensive foul, hooked a defender. Brian Scalabrine, Jrue Carter both said, after looking at the replay, yeah, that's a foul. He hooked the defender. But Joe Mazzulla apparently was calling timeout, asking for the timeout, did not get it. Clippers ball, 19.6. Bad execution for the Celtics in the final 2 minutes of regulation. Amir Coffey, a dunk, 2-point game, 12.6. Brown, a turnover. Then Derrick Jones the other way. Tie game. 4.2. White, the inbounds. Tatum to White, had a shot blocked. Clippers, 14 points. They were down 96-89. 14 points. 14-7 run to close out and force the overtime. But in that overtime session, Derrick White knocked down a 3. Got a stop on the defensive end. Jayson Tatum knocked down a 3. 6-point lead. Offensive foul, Terrence Mann. Springer, a 3 rimmed out. Cornette drew a foul, going for the offensive rebound. Jaylen Brown then knocked down a 3. Celtics up 7, 112-105 with 2:05 off the clock. Jones with a 3, 2-point game in the final minute. Then Springer. Jrue Carter said after he knocked down a 3, his second, had one late in the fourth quarter, had one in overtime. Have a night, Jaden Springer. That from Jrue Carter. Lead up to 5. And just Amir Coffey made it a 2-point game at the free throw line. And then Celtics scrambling in a 4-point in Queta, 2-point game. Shot clock, game clock. Clippers were not going to foul. They were trying to get a miss and a rebound and go the other way. Queta then with the layup. That sealed the deal for the Celtics. You escape with one. But again, who was playing, who was sitting, you end up winning it in overtime, and you take it. Jaden Springer, terrific. We're going to get into the entire bench coming up in segment number 2. Queta, defensively, at one point, had a stop against the guy he was guarding, and then Clippers still with possession. Queta had a block. Overall, hey, 2 wins in a row. They haven't won 2 in a row since winning in blowout fashion New Year's Eve day at home against the Raptors, then going on that road trip to open up the new year right at the beginning of January, winning in Minnesota, winning the next night in Houston against the Rockets. So now you've won 2 in a row. And by the way, for all the talk about the Celtics and what they've done, the Celtics are now 31-13 on the season. Terrific road record. There is season high 18 games over 500. More numbers of the night coming up in segment number 3. Your comments right now here in segment number 1. The Real Darrell. Never apologize for a win on the road. Absolutely. Props to Springer for coming up huge. Take him out to the club tonight. The Real Darrell, I'll take 2 out of 3. Take him out in Dallas on Friday night. I know Dallas is not in Los Angeles, but you got another one against the Lakers. You got another game against the Lakers here on the back-to-back. So you stay in Los Angeles, you go from the Intuit to crypto, and you play the Lakers on Thursday night. And I said it the other night after the victory against Golden State. You can't go 2-0, open up a road trip 2-0 unless you win the first one. You won that one convincingly a couple of nights ago. The bench got a lot of action against Golden State a couple of nights ago in San Francisco. I don't know that carried over, but the guys who played off the bench, Jordan Walsh was strong when he got time. Cornette, Hauser, 2 guys usually off the bench in the starting lineup. And Hauser knocked down 5 threes in the game. Knocked down 3 in the first quarter alone. Paul checking in. Thought Hauser should have had more shots and minutes. Right there. Paul, I appreciate that. Yes and no. It did seem like he went quiet as he knocked down the 5 threes for the game. Huge shout out to the Clippers broadcasting team. This from Mike Driscoll. Mike, great to see you on board. Brian Seaman and Jim Jackson were more surprised than anyone about the fight the Clippers were giving the Celtics. They were very complimentary to the Celtics. Mike, appreciate that. I had Drew Carter, Brian Scalabrine, and Mike a lot of times gets the visitors on the broadcast. Yeah, a lot. When you listen to either the national broadcast or the the home team or the opposing team's broadcast, they gloss over a lot of things with the Celtics. I give the Clippers great credit for what they did, for what their guys did. Hey, they had 3 guys in double figures. Amir Coffey, 24 points, 44 minutes. Derrick Jones Jr., career high 29, 17 of those in the first quarter alone. Kevin Porter Jr., he goes after it. 26.7 rebounds, 7 assists. Terrence Mann had 7 assists. They were a fun team to watch. And Brian Scalabrine kept saying, this is one of those games you get trapped in. You lose, you don't have 3 players. They don't have 3 players. The Celtics still had Tatum and Brown on the floor. And in this game, where you had guys getting opportunities and more shots, Derrick Jones Jr. went 12 of 20. Is he taking 20 shots with James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell in the lineup? Probably not. Porter got 21 shots. I mean, as a team, they executed. They shot 52.2% from the field overall, 47 of 90. The thing that killed them, their turnovers. I mean, they would have been well over 100 attempts from the field, but the turnovers just absolutely killed them. Just absolutely killed them. I mean, the Celtics had 5 turnovers in the first half. I was going to give the numbers of the night, but the Celtics ended up with too many turnovers in this game as well. Celtics had 5 in the first half, 19 total, second half and overtime, and the Clippers had 22 turnovers total. The shot attempts were the same. I was surprised by that in the end. Mike Driscoll, appreciate the thoughts on the visiting broadcasters. The Real Darrell. This win against the Clippers might be the best win of the season because of how they won this game. Yeah, they were connected. Tatum, Brown still get their 20+. White got the 20. But again, those guys who are called upon, no KP, no Al Horford, no Jrue Holiday, all out of the lineup. So you're going through shoot around, you're going through Tuesday into Wednesday, understanding, hey, my number is called, I got to get going. And some of these guys have been a little bit more inconsistent in terms of getting on the floor. I don't know. I'm not going to pinpoint this to say that there were more opportunity, more in gear because of the minutes they got off the bench against the Warriors a couple of nights ago. But these were extended and quality minutes. I mean, Jaden Springer, maybe the best game in the NBA to this point in time. More of your comments, thoughts on the new arena for the Clippers. I love that floor. There's my thought right there. And somebody from OKC went for 54. You might know who it is. We'll discuss that next as well. Steve Lennox with you, Locked On Celtics POSTCAST. Glad you're with us as we're in the early morning hours going into Thursday. If you're international with us, you're already into your Thursday. We're talking about a Celtics OT win against the Clippers in Los Angeles, actually Inglewood. But as the Real Darrell said, a win is a win. Don't apologize for winning on the road, no matter how it looked. In the final 2 minutes of regulation for the Celtics, wasn't the greatest. Again, glad you're with us. Locked On Celtics POSTCAST, Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. Keep the comments going. We get back to those in just a moment. We are presented by Game Time. Hey, I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. I do want to get to the Clippers' new arena sometime in my lifetime. I'm not telling you it's going to be in the next year. Again, we do love going to live events, sports, music, theater, comedy. One of my favorite memories, attending Broadway shows with my family just after Christmas. The energy, the excitement, always unforgettable. Now, Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you do not have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. With Game Time Picks, you are going to find amazing deals, and you can even see the view from your seats before you make your purchase. The super deal is particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. With Game Time, take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code LOCKEDONNBA, and with that, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, let's get right back into it. More of your comments here on the Locked On Celtics postcast. Where did we leave off? Darrell, you're on it tonight. We're scoreboard watching. Cavaliers did lose. So with that, the Celtics do pick up a full game on the leading team in the Eastern Conference. We'll get into more of that in just a moment. But Darrell, the real Darrell, put that out there, and that is double ox, 00X, double ox. Should Springer play more? Should Queta play more? There's a couple of guys on the bench. You wonder. I mean, again, these guys, more Queta than Springer, but Springer, wow, really put it together. And as Brian Scalabrine said on more than one occasion, Springer's a big reason they won that game. I mean, the 2 threes he knocked down, started getting after it, got after it on the defensive end against Kevin Porter Jr. Perimeter defense from Rengill. Perimeter defense was really bad until Springer entered the game. Yes, correct. Without his hassle, this was an early L for the Celtics. The way the Clippers were shooting, I mean, they were over 60% in the first half. Didn't end after the first quarter. They just kept shooting. Mid-range, getting to the basket, inside the three-point line. They were taking shots that the Celtics were giving them. And Springer, again, big part of that. Celtics from Paul, showcasing Springer and Baylor. Shireman got in there as well. Akram checking in as Springer added more to his trade stock. Yeah, there's somebody that could have been looking at him. I mean, his name has been right there, right? The rumors, reading them online or reading articles, there's not a lot of rumors about what the Celtics, and I think a lot of us agree the Celtics should do something before the trade deadline or at the trade deadline. And Springer's name is at the front of it. Hey, just like in baseball. I mean, you've got, we talk about prospects, we talk about the G League different than a baseball minor league system. But yeah, the Celtics do a great job in Maine in the G League with developing these guys being ready when called upon at the NBA level. I mean, they've done it a handful of times this year. I don't pay attention enough to other teams to know how much they do in terms of bringing guys back and forth and having them, Jordan Walsh on a day off, going up there and getting a run in, doing different things. Even bringing the main team down was when Kristaps Porzingis was just about ready to go. Got up and down the floor. Didn't play in a game, but was able to get on the floor with guys who know the Celtics system. So Springer, yeah, I mean, this could be a big one in terms of that. I mean, I think we're all thinking in the same direction. I mean, that guy wants to play in the NBA. So right now, a guy like Jaden Springer, Shireman, you're getting those opportunities in the G League and playing, most games. So there are scouts there watching you. But when you're getting on the floor and being productive in an NBA game, some teams are looking at that, and there are probably going to be some emails and phone calls and text messages saying, hey, if we're talking to the Celtics, Springer's a guy we want to look at. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if he went and brought you something back that can help you to a second straight title, you wish him all the best. You really do. He goes and blows up somewhere else and has, 3 or 4 solid years. More power to him. Rain checking in. Tomorrow will be hard against the Lakers. I hope KP and LA will play. That might be Al. Yeah. Porzingis, hopefully, I mean, if he was on the court, if he was on the bench, maybe it's just a one-day thing. The Celtics did have some guys with illnesses. It goes through the NBA during these months, December, January into February, where we just try to keep guys who get ill away from the guys who are still healthy. I don't know if it was that illness or not for Kristaps Porzingis, but he just ended up on The injury report, the injury list, the injury report for the Celtics during the day Wednesday. Illness, non-COVID related. Akram and Tillman never gonna play again. Possibly someone who is gonna get traded before the deadline. Yeah, he got some minutes late in the fourth quarter against Golden State the other night. But no, he seems to be down on the bench. But again, the bench play for the Celtics. Springer at the top. Queta was right there. Pritchard had an okay night, not great from the field. But notice Pritchard, and I failed to do this the other day and failed to mention it, but he had 9 assists against Golden State. And he's going over the top with the lobs at the rim to Luke Cornett in recent games. Pritchard, when he got the ball, there were a couple of occasions they just came right out on him on the three-point line. They got right up in his chest, Clippers defensively. But again, he's looking to distribute as well. And I think it was Pritchard to Walsh at one point, then Walsh on an offensive rebound to Pritchard on a 3 in the first half. Jordan Walsh, again, opening up some eyes. Again, you have to give up in order to get, and at the trade deadline, Walsh, Shireman, Springer, are they good players for you in the future? You have to determine that. And those decisions are being made. I don't want to say you're showcasing it because, again, Joe Mazzulla does a nice job. Hey, we got to go a little bit deeper off our bench. And there's been talk about how the rotations are changed and all that stuff. Said it a few weeks ago as they were on the struggle bus. Teams that adjusted to the Celtics are now adjusting back. How do you scout Springer, Walsh, Queta? You've got a couple of blips on them as the opposing team. But right now, Ty Lue, Jeff Van Gundy, Jaden Springer was integral, fourth quarter, overtime. And give credit to Joe Mazzulla. That's trust. The fact that he's on the floor. Had a great start. He had a very good third quarter, 3 steals in that third quarter. Was on the floor at the start of the fourth. Got minutes on the floor in overtime. It speaks volumes. It really does. And the real Darrell, don't take him out tonight. Let him go back to the hotel. Let him feel good about himself. Take him out for a meal, and that's it. No clubbing tonight. You got another game against the Lakers. I want 3-0 now. I want 3-0 going into Dallas on Saturday against a Mavericks team who, again, dealing with all sorts of injuries. All sorts of injuries. And I don't, the real Darrell says, don't apologize for winning on the road. Don't apologize for beating teams when they're not at full strength. The real Darrell mentioned it. Rockets beat the Cavaliers 109-108. Cavaliers in Philadelphia on Friday. Host the Rockets again on Saturday. Celtics get the Rockets next week back in Boston at TD Garden. I mentioned it. Love the Intuit Dome. $2 billion, what's not to love? It's that place is just outstanding. Thunder, 123-114 victory over the Utah Jazz Wednesday night. Did you take a guess as to who scored 50-plus for the OKC Thunder? Yeah, it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander having a terrific season. 17 of 35 from the field, 3 threes, 17 of 18 at the line. I saw that. I thought James Harden, but then I remembered James Harden on the bench for the Clippers on Wednesday. 54 points. What are the Clippers? You got Kawhi out. Norman Powell wants to play. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, saw it on social media. This was his quote. I know this will sound very spoiled, but I feel like I didn't have that great of a night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you did. You scored 54. You knocked down 17 shots and hit 17 free throws. You did have a great night. That guy's fun to watch. Wasn't fun to watch a few weeks ago when OKC won at home against the Celtics, but he's fun to watch, and certainly in the MVP conversation. Paul, Brown had some bad turnovers in key spots. Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. The one where he got called for the foul, where he hooked a defender, apparently they were calling timeout. But he was called for the foul there. The real Darrell, one more. Use Springer as a defensive specialist. yeah, when you need lockdown, you've got to identify where you're putting him on the floor when you're talking about being a defensive specialist like that. Numbers of the night coming up. Celtics pick up the victory. Now a season high 18 over 500. Still with the third best record in the NBA. No one else has caught them during this stretch. I don't think they are. Again, numbers of the night. More of your comments next. Hey, just want to remind you, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Celtics Daily Newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with all the new free Locked On Celtics newsletter information. And a reminder as well, keep up with everything going on with the New England Patriots as they are now into their offseason. Head coach, coordinators in place. Locked On Patriots, Mike Debate available wherever you get your podcast. All right, back to the comments. Let's scroll through here real quick. Paul mentioned, Brown, the turnovers. They're going to happen. When you get that second, sometimes it seems like Tatum's doing too much dribbling on the perimeter. When he's looking for that shot and that dribbling, that second defender sometimes has an opportunity to come over as well. But Celtics, again, pick up the victory. Springer, couple of threes, one late in the fourth quarter, one in the overtime as well. And, the Celtics knocking down 19 threes in the win and came out like gangbusters in that overtime session as they knocked down 4 total. White started it, Tatum, Brown, and then I don't want to call it the nail in the coffin from Springer because the Clippers were right there. They were right there. Numbers of the night. If you stuck with this one from beginning to end, I don't know how you would have left your TV unless if you're on the East Coast, if you're in New England for Celtics and Clippers, and I knew it was going overtime. It's sometimes when we did the Locked On Red Sox postcast, all right, it's, all of a sudden, bottom of the ninth, top of the ninth inning, opposing team ties it up, or the Red Sox tie it up, you end up going, it's not a 5-minute session. You can go, you can go to the 10th, 11th, 12th. But again, Celtics pulled it out in that overtime session. But that 3 from Springer wasn't necessarily the nail in the coffin because the Clippers took them right to the end. Queta had that bucket late. That made it a 4-point game, run out the clock. 31 bench points for the Celtics as we continue to talk about the bench play. Queta had the nail in the coffin. Queta was 5 of 7 from the field and was not actually credited with a block shot. Queta ended up with 11 points. And Queta was actually a minus 12. That was the largest for the Celtics. How about Luke Kornet? Get into arguments all the time with people. Luke Kornet, 0 for 2 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, played 30-plus minutes. Luke Kornet was a plus 18. That's interesting. That's where I look at the plus minus. It's like, really? Okay. Numbers of the night. Celtics, again, 18 games over 500 for the first time this season. Have won 3 in a row since late December, early January. Continue with the second-best record. And that lineup, no Jrue Holiday, no Kristaps Porzingis, no Al Horford, who would have been in the starting lineup if he was available with KP out. 18th different starting lineup through the first 44 games of the season for the Celtics. First time starting Hauser and Kornet together. Kornet in the starting lineup a couple of nights ago without Horford. And Kristaps Porzingis, first loss of the season a couple of nights ago, back in the win column. But Hauser and Kornet in there as starters for the first time. I wonder, hey, we'll see. If those 3 are, again, not available against the Lakers, would you put Queta in the starting lineup? Would you give Springer that opportunity? And sort of almost a reward as well. Man, there was one point in that fourth quarter. Clippers had 89 points with under 5 to go, and I'm thinking, can they hold them here? But LA just knocked down shots throughout the course of the game. So 5-2. That's the Celtics record on game 2 of a back-to-back. They'll try to make that 6-2 against the Lakers on Thursday night across town wonder how far those arenas are from each other. Lakers arena still is downtown, and Inglewood is out there on the perimeter of Los Angeles. But, hey, beat the Lakers. You sweep the season series from the Clippers. That's nice. And as we wrap up here, going to try a little wrinkle here in segment number 3. And I implore you, I ask you to join along. Let's take a moment just to remember fondly a former Celtic. We might do this in segment number 2 to open up and debut it. Let's take a moment and remember former Celtic Brad Lohaus, drafted by the Celtics, second round out of Iowa in 1987. 11 seasons in the NBA. And this one was a heartbreaker for me. If you've been with us, you know Danny Ainge was one of my favorites. Brad Lohaus, Danny Ainge traded to the Sacramento Kings for the two big guys, Joe Klein, Ed Pinckney, in February of 1989. What's next? Back-to-back in Los Angeles. The real Darrell, no taking Jaden Springer out tonight. Hey, it's 11 o'clock on the West Coast. If they're out right now, they got 60 minutes left in the club. I say that tongue-in-cheek, and I think the real Darrell knows that that's the way it's intended. Lakers, Thursday night, 23-18 right now, number 6 in the West, 15-6 home record. Celtics have won the previous 2 meetings with the Lakers in Los Angeles. After the Lakers, Mavericks in Dallas on Saturday, and the Celtics are not going to see Luka Doncic. Derek Lively, expected to miss 2 to 3 months, a fracture in his right foot. That was announced on Wednesday. And then the Celtics, after this road trip is over, right now 2-0. You can't go 4-0 on a road trip unless you win the first 2. That's what the Celtics have done to this point. Go 3-0. I want that Mavericks matchup. I want Dallas on Saturday in Dallas. I want the Celtics to come back to Boston with a victory against the Mavericks. After that road trip is wrapped up on Saturday, home next week for 2 in a row at home, and then back out on the road. Right now in a stretch of playing 7 of 9 away from home. But next week, the Rockets and Bulls. And you see where you go from there. Celtics win it again. Just win on the road. Any win on the road is a good win, no matter what. Just no matter what, where that goes in there. That's going to do it for us. As always, we do tip our cap to you. If you were with us on the East Coast, big tip of the cap. Good audience. Love the comments with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Again, tell your friends all about us as well. Celtics pick up the win. We are right back at it Thursday night into Friday morning. Lakers, Celtics. Celtics will be looking to go 3-0 on this current 4-game road trip. We do thank you for making the Locked On Celtics podcast with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast your first listen every day. Tip of the cap to our sponsor, Game Time. Again, the podcast free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We also appreciate your attendance and your contributions as well with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out after every Celtics game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics, every day.